If you look at a country like the United States, the share of total income going to the top 10% of the population used to be about 1/3 of total income back in the early 1980s, and now in 2015 it is over 1/2. So it has gone from 35% to over 50% of total income. Marx in the 19th century said that inequality would have to rise forever. Kuznets in the 20th century, on the contrary, assumed that there were natural forces that would make inequality go down in the long run. My main conclusion is that there are powerful forces going in both directions, and that ultimately which one dominates really depends on the institutions, policy that we choose in the area of education, labor market, taxation, corporate governance, minimum wages, and all these matter, and there are several possible futures. If your parents are rich, like 100% of a generation almost goes to college. If your parents are poor, it's like 20–30% going to college, and these are not the same colleges than if you're rich. And so this very unequal access to education prevents inequality from going down. Now, even if you get education policy right, there are other forces which can lead to rising inequality in the long run, in particular the tendency of the rate of return to capital to exceed the economy's growth rate in the very long run can act as a powerful force to very high concentration of wealth and property as opposed to income inequality, in particular labor income inequality, which is primarily determined by education and labor market institutions. So again, it really depends on the institution and policies like progressive taxation of income or wealth that we put in place in order to regulate these dynamics. Sometimes people want just to blame globalization and say, well, because of globalization, because of the competition with emerging countries, inequality has to increase, and in any case, there's not much we can do about it. That's just globalization. And I think this is wrong. I think, I believe in globalization, but I believe we also need strong democratic institutions and fiscal and educational policies so as to ensure that more people actually benefit from globalization. So you don't have the same rise in inequality everywhere. For instance, in Europe and Japan, where you also have globalization and competition with emerging countries, inequality of income or wealth did not increase quite as much as in the United States. So this shows that different course of action can make a difference.